Today I will say something about the role of conflict in maintaining healthy human relationships, and will argue very briefly against the social norm that we should be nice, against this value of niceness, and especially against the social prescription of having to exchange niceties in our communication. We are socially conditioned in modern society to be nice to each other, and this means to show a relatively high degree of tolerance and to restrain our urges to sanction the behavior of others which we feel is contrary to some of the most important values that the society holds. And fundamentally, this niceness, this culture of niceness and tolerance, leads us into a basically catastrophic social situation where the very organic tissue that binds the community together, the very sociality of the community, is undermined and existentially threatened. And this brings me to the point made by Giorgio Agamben, one of the most influential modern philosophers, contemporaries, and that is that there's something of a moral norm in society, of a legitimate moral expectation that we all ought to act in a way which advances what Agamben calls socialitas, using the Latin term. Agamben basically means that the moral norm can be formulated in the following way: we are all morally bound to act in ways which maximize the overall sociality, the overall sociality of all members of society. And this means that we must act in ways which increase the potential and capacities by all members of the community to be social to each other. And to be social does not mean to be negatively social. And that means to show tolerance and to maintain a distance and to be nice. To be social means to be proactively engaged with others, to enter into in-depth relationships. And only such relationships can generate what I call the healing community, the organic healing community. With the demise of the family and close friendships, we are now left largely without the healing communities, and this is why there are so many psychiatric diseases and so many mental problems faced by millions of people in most developed countries. Socialitas, Agamben's concept of socialitas, or sociality, the moral norm to advance sociality, is what defines the healing community. This is the community of people who want to be close to each other. And the culture of niceness and tolerance detracts from that community and basically diminishes the capacity of the community to play a healing role. So rather than considering niceness as being socially constructive, we should consider conflict as being socially constructive. Obviously a limited conflict, not conflict which includes extreme violence, but conflict in terms of disagreements and the behavior which involves mutual sanctions. If people do not act appropriately to you, if people don't act in a way which is organic, which is healing, but show a niceness instead of real human concern, you should sanction that in various ways. There are a number of ways in which one can respond to that, from breaking contact with someone to openly confronting that person, and there's a myriad of other ways well developed in social interactions. But the real question is not which way to choose. The real question is whether to respond in a confrontational manner or simply to remain to be nice, continue with this culture of niceness and exchanging of niceties. This is something like repairing a scratched car, and this is my favorite comparison. If somebody scratches your car, and if it's a deep scratch, you can't remove that scratch by polishing the car, by washing it, by trying all kinds of mild interventions. You simply have to repaint the scratch. And to repaint the scratch, you need to face the scratch. You need to see all the layers that have been damaged, and you need to remove what's in your way, and any dirt that's on the car. You need to basically present to yourself the scratch, this wound, this damage in its ugliest and purest form, presentation, and only then will you be able to repaint it properly and to smooth the edges and to return the car into the condition before which it was in before it was damaged. Now, the whole parallel is really in that when somebody acts in a way which destroys socialitas or sociality, this must be met with certain sanctions. You must react in a way which will send a message that this is not acceptable. And by sending this message, you show that you care. If you remain nice, you show basically that you do not care about the person. And this is one of the reasons why in so much practical coaching about human relationships, there's an increasing emphasis on removing the culture of niceness, being the nice guy. Being the nice guy means being a disinterested, sterile, socially low-value person. So basically, if you want to increase your value in society, you have to engage with the society, and this means becoming involved in a degree of conflict. Just as you become involved in a degree of conflict in politics in order to show that you want to be a constructive actor and you want to contribute something, so you have to be involved in a degree of interpersonal conflict to show that you care about others.